Ta-da-da-da-da. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? All right. We're gonna get streaming soon. It's the morning. How are you? Hope you're having coffee and other stuff that keeps you awake. What a crazy week. Hold on. Opening browser. Opening some stuff. There we go. Then we will see my actual faceage. Fantastic. Hope everybody's well. This is very exciting. Oh, crap. Hold on. YouTube is probably on private, which is not good, not helpful. Yep, I got it. Hold on one second. I'll do this real quick. Right now. Go there, please. Let's see. Where is it? Privacy public. Yeah, we're good. You guys can see me okay? Yeah? Hi. I thought it was on unlisted or something crazy. There we go. All right. We'll get started in just a moment. Fabrics again. That's up to them. That's not up to me. Cool out, great one, kid, or they'll put you in a timeout. You know, I have to say, folks, that I was under the impression that it could not get more insane. I was under the impression that we had sort of topped out on some level with Trump's ability to wreak havoc, create chaos, undermine normal institutions, be an agent of chaos for the Kremlin, all those things. Like, for a lot of those things, I genuinely thought there was, if there was a base point that even the Republican Party wouldn't protect him through. And I'm happy to find out that on some levels, that's true. The aftermath of the green light that Donald Trump gave for the Turkish government, Erdogan in particular, to basically start a precipitous genocide in the northern part of Syria along their border, was met with some pushback. What do you know? That at some point there are a few of these folks who were cool with him defending Russia at every turn when he was saying that, our own intelligence was wrong and that, I just spoke to Vladimir Putin and he was very forceful and very strong and bulbous and turgid as he demanded that I tell you guys that he didn't do it. Nobody, that for whatever reason, that just skated on by. Then we find out, as this most recent scandal, which will result in an impeachment vote on Donald Trump, which will result in more than just, I think, Democrats coming on board at this point. I think there are definitely some House Republicans that might jump onto this, which is a shocking, amazing, crazy thing. But looking at this, why it was this, this was the turning point. And apparently it was simply the evangelical reaction to the fact that Kurdish Christians were being murdered in this region, and he didn't even know they existed. And the amazing part for me about this most recent, the impeachment itself, was the fact that so many people focused on it's part of this attack on Joe Biden, and that he is trying to get dirt on his opponent. This was the constant throw around we heard during the last 2 weeks. And since the call became known, the general talking point around it has been that Donald Trump is trying to he thinks he's going to run against Biden. He's seen the numbers. Biden's beating him even in Texas. clearly this has spooked him, and now he wants he wants to dig up dirt on him. And this has been the general storyline. Well, if you listen to the actual transcript of the phone call that the White House put out themselves, I cannot state that strongly enough, because there seems to be this weird, where Donald Trump is accusing Schiff of misstating what he said. When Schiff's statement in front of the committee was after the release of the transcript the White House put out, Schiff was relating to that transcript and paraphrasing what he saw as the crime there, basically making the language more understandable for anybody who was confused about this, or basically shaming the Republicans for pretending not to know that there was a quid pro quo going on and that this was a standard run-of-the-mill RICO level shakedown. That Trump is, pushing this idea that Schiff is he lied. He said what I said was a perfect phone call. And I mean, the word perfect as a lock for this is one of the most bizarre and ridiculous and goofy things I think I've ever heard. Now, Brad in our chat is saying how trying to create dirt on Biden, you're saying, and well, as opposed to find dirt on Biden. That's arguably true. But what the point I'm trying to get at is that was, thank you, Billy. Thank you very much, Billy, for the super chat. That's really up. The evangelicals finding out Trump will keep on sinning just to hold their noses and go ahead and go along with it anyway fund. Thank you so much for that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, these guys will pretend to be upset and back him the whole way. Now, the primary point of that call, besides the quote-unquote creation of or seeking out of dirt on Joe Biden, was, and by the way, that was secondary, and there was a direct quid pro quo in those quotes, as we went over last week. They were working out the numbers. They were literally engaged. Sondland was engaged in a deal with the Ukrainian president, with Zelensky, in exchange for the president recognizing you as the president of Ukraine by having a visit and this money being released. You're going to do certain things. You're going to release a statement that you are looking into Joe Biden's family. But first and foremost, the thing he asked for first was you will dig into the CrowdStrike conspiracy theory and the idea that the Russians didn't meddle in the 2016 election. It was actually Ukraine. It was Ukraine that meddled in this tiny little country, which we're allied with. I mean, breaking it down intellectually, breaking it down philosophically, it boggles the mind that you don't recognize that an ally, whoever they support in our elections, more than likely the better choice than, say, the choice of our foes. Because literally we're in a situation where if this Ukrainian conspiracy theory were true, and it isn't, but if it were true, the theory would be that they were supporting the DNC and Hillary Clinton, and Russia has already admitted that they were supporting Donald Trump. Whose judgment in this circumstance are we to trust more? If you're going straight, foreign influence for foreign influence. And again, moot point, it's just for a point of balance, but not even a factor. Not even a factor. The obvious thing was that Russia was supporting Donald Trump. They've said so as much. Putin has said it out loud. Everybody said it in public. They laugh about it. Their state media mocks us about it. And Ukraine, under the thumb of Russia, getting, pressured on all fronts after the taking of Crimea and more forces being pushed in. Thank you, Amos. Appreciate that, too, for the super chat. That's awesome. Loving the sticker. Fantastic. The real breakdown of this CrowdStrike thing, that was the primary reason why that is so far as influence that Donald Trump was asking for in exchange. The bit about Biden was important but secondary. The most important thing and the first thing that they asked for in that phone call, and that Trump brought up in his own transcript that he had with Zelensky, the first thing he brought up was CrowdStrike. And CrowdStrike was, and we broke this down a couple of weeks ago. CrowdStrike is a California-based company. The owner is an American citizen from Ukraine, again, an allied country who lives here. And the theory is, and I'm almost getting a nosebleed every time I try to figure this out. The theory is that the Russians didn't really hack the DNC. The DNC faked a hack from the Russians to pin it on Donald Trump. And they hired this company, CrowdStrike, to investigate it / help them fake it. And they took the server that was attacked, which the FBI received a disk image of, and moved the physical server, they moved the server to Ukraine, and it's hidden there somewhere. I guess allegedly under a pile of ledgers that list a series of payments to Paul Manafort. Because that's part of the part that they've been grinding on for a while. That we got to find a way to get Paul Manafort out of jail. That's what Trump is so concerned about. We got to take a break. We'll be back. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. I can't wait to take your calls. I can't wait to talk about Mulvaney, the gift that just keeps on gaffing. Mulvaney, really, dude. Great job. Great job. We'll be back. Did you guys see the hashtag Stop the Coup today? Oh, Lord. All right. Pardon my cough. The fires in L.A. got me something good about a week ago, and I've been fighting it off. And I've got so many shows. It's pretty much nonstop talking. And Can't Stop Lying and Natalie and Akf. Thank you guys for coming down to the show here in Vegas. Super fun. Really just, as last minute shows go, I gotta say, good times. It's a joy. Because I was not scheduled to do these shows in Vegas this week. They called me on Friday and needed a fill-in. They were in kind of a panic. And they're like, we need somebody. And I'm like, well, guess what? I'm somebody. And the crowds are great. I like the space as well. It's really fun. So, fingers crossed we'll make this kind of a, every so often a residency-ish kind of a thing. Would be kind of lovely. I'm thinking quarterly. We'll work it out. Hold on. There it is. I couldn't find my Restream chat app. And the website for them was starting to fail too much. Thank you. And on this guy, oh my goodness. That's why. Like my laptop is about to die. I'm like, why is that happening? Because it wasn't plugged in. There we go. That would have been ugly. Hi. Why do you have 3 remotes? Downstairs. My son snagged all the remotes from his grandma, so she couldn't change the channel on the show he wanted to watch. So he just came up here with 3 remotes in his hand going, hey, look what I did. Hilarious. He'll make a visit during the post show. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So here we go. All right. That down. Good to see you. Good news, everyone. State Department just found that no deliberate mishandling of classified information. The Clinton email. I know, Brad. That tweet this morning was hilarious. Yes, let's. One of the, I guess, the main strategies of the Trump White House and this crowd has been consistently this. I think some people have called it CAP. I call it CAB. This confuse, admit, blame. This is their strategy. When something comes out, they initially talk about, well, this didn't really happen, and I don't know what you're talking about. They gaslight, and they add this extra layer of stuff that, well, everybody does that. I mean, that's just something we're doing. I mean, but who doesn't do that? And even if we did do it, it's not a crime. And and people do that stuff constantly. We don't understand why you would have an issue with that. And we're doing it for America. And in just watching it happen, it has become so consistent. It's become such a regular part of their methodology that you almost it's easily spotted these days. It's just you can see it coming. And one of the things that they do is everybody does it, and they take the word, whatever the word is that everybody's concerned about, and they start using it themselves in their sort of defense. The obvious one is the server. So recently, some of you may have seen this clip of Trump saying server, 8 times in 20 seconds. Where's the server? I want to see the server. In Ukraine, there's a server. The surfer. A surfer with the kofefe. The surfing. Furfur. Well, he did the exact same thing when he was standing next to Putin at that ridiculous press conference in 2018, where he was saying, Mr. Putin said, I talked to him and he was very forceful and saying that he didn't do this and this was not his doing. And why would he? I can't imagine why Russia would do it, which he later changed to wouldn't after he got some pushback from Lindsey and the gang. But he brought up in that same situation, the server. Where's the server? Where's the server? So he's been chasing this ridiculous, odd anti-FBI dog whistle conspiracy theory forever. This has been sticking with him. And it apparently is based on this kind of idea. Even though he had gotten through the Mueller investigation, he had basically skated by. Because of William Barr's protection, he had made it through it. And then his own hubris, his own just nerve about this, and his own ego about okay, I want other people attacked over this. I want to remove this idea from, since I dodged the bullet, I want my record expunged, essentially. Well, with it, that's what the CrowdStrike server thing was. That's what he wants from this. This conspiracy theory that somehow either he believes Putin or some of these right-wing nudniks around him that, because there is a plausible deniability to Trump's actual investment in terms of genuine tit-for-tat Russian exchange for help when it comes to Trump. Because on the one hand, he could be dumb enough to think that that's just fine. World leader, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. This is the same as happens in the New York real estate market. You know what I mean? We both cheat the regulator. We're the builders. They don't know anything. We'll do that. That's us. But in the meantime, there's excuse me. In the meantime, there's a group of underlings under him that knows he's not going to be able to do this himself. He's not going to be able to make this happen. So they're directly engaging, from Roger Stone to Don Jr. to Eric to to Manafort. All these people are going one-to-one to talk to Russia and ask for help. And they're the ones coordinating this. Now, does he know? 100%? Maybe not. What he does know is that he owes Russia somewhere in the order of $600 million to $1.4 billion, and he can't pay it back. So how does that dry up? How do you find yourself in that situation? How do you make that whole, as Manafort would say? So his tit for tat on this might be just kind of what what the Chinese would call guanxi. And he's just, going, hey, well, just for better or worse. Thank you, Hal Vickery. Appreciate it for the super chat, for research into how Montenegro interfered in the 2016 election. Yeah. So that, it may be the money that he owes to Russia that keeps him on their, on their leash. It may be that they have direct compromise on him. It may be both, because you never see him sweat so much as when he's defending Russia. Now, so the CrowdStrike thing is the primary reason he was manipulating Zelensky and holding back U.S. funds, which is illegal. Now, the Mulvaney thing, I'm going to play some of the audio after the break. Excuse me. The Mulvaney response is pretty spectacular in that, on the one hand, he just ate it. Just dumb. Just one of the most ridiculous showings there's ever. And it's one of these things where people just they try the bravado, and it's a massive fail. Like when people playing tough guy for the first time, it's adorable to watch. It really is. And that's really what Mulvaney, his whole get over it thing. It seems like that was a line that Trump wanted him to say. That was was super important, that he get out there. Much like the whole, this was the greatest crowd in the history of crowds when Sean Spicer came out, these lines clearly dictated by Donald Trump. And in Mulvaney's case, there were a couple of these where they were trying to dig their way out of this quid pro quo part, because they clearly knew that it was going to come out in Sondland's testimony that there was a quid pro quo, and then we'll just tear the label off of it and pretend. That was essentially what Sondland's final text, saying, "Hey guys, we got to stop texting about this. We cannot. Guys, get off the phone, please. Please stop writing. Please, let's go to use WhatsApp from now on, and please only contact me through there. No, this is a voice call." So in doing that, thank you, Hal Veggery, for pushing that as well. That's right. Smash the like if you could. That would really help us out. Like and subscribe to the channel. Even consider becoming a patron. There's a Patreon link right there. It would help us. It would help the show. It would help our reach. It would help us reach and subscribing to the channel would help us reach that magical 10K number. We're very close. So if you're watching on Periscope and you're watching Facebook and all those, hop on over to the YouTube channel. Come on, hit that like. But in the actual in Trump's response to this, you can see in the Mulvaney response this sort of seeds of pushback against this. Definitely make sure that you say that there was after we tried there's no quid pro quo, we're going to try the other defense I've heard on Fox News, which is quid pro quos happen all the time. We have quid pro quos with countries constantly. I mean, that's how we engage with other people. This was the Mulvaney defense. He comes out and he says, we have quid pro quos with countries all the time. And you know what? That's true. That is absolutely true. Country to country, we have quid pro quos. Our country will provide you with security and aid and these kind of things, but you have to meet these certain criteria. So we're not just throwing our money out the window. If $8 trillion, if $8 billion a year are going out the window, we're not going to give you another $1 billion unless you broom out all these Russian sock puppets in your government who are helping the money get stolen. Back to why Biden and the EU and the IMF wanted the prosecutors and 9 other people in the Ukrainian government kicked out. But Trump's quid pro quo was for Trump and Trump alone. That's the difference. Do countries have quid pro quos back and forth? Absolutely. That's what a negotiation is. But what Donald Trump did was he stepped in between the United States and Ukraine. We had already worked out what we needed from Ukraine. We were supporting an ally in their hot war against Russia to keep Russia from taking the largest European landmass and after their reclamation of Crimea. They had already satisfied their quid pro quo. They were an ally. They'd gotten rid of the Russian sock puppets. They were brooming out corruption. The government, the Congress, had already allocated that money. They said that money is good to go. It's out the door. And Donald Trump hit pause, put his thumb on the scale, stopped everything so that he could extract a personal favor from this. That's the difference. And let there be no mistake. That's the singular difference in this quid pro quo. And they know they are caught. And their attempt is this CAB system. Confuse, admit, blame. So right now, they're in the admit it phase. And they hedge towards the blame phase when Rudy's buddies got arrested. And Rudy started, well, he's been my lawyer. I haven't talked to him, but I talked to him yesterday. Once that happened, we got to take a break. Once that happened, we've hit full cycle. So they're going to go back to confuse again. But he floated the word server around this the exact same way that they floated the word server a year ago to protect Russia. This is all about protecting Vladimir Putin. And we haven't even talked about Elijah Cummings passing, who we lost a lion in the house and an amazing human being. And one of the boldest, most aggressive arguments for a peaceful exchange of ideas that has been presented in the House in, I would say, decades, was from Elijah Cummings. We'll be back. We got to take a break. We'll be back. It's the House Marks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Oh, man. I start running out of air at that point. Yes, thank you, Natalie. Thank you so much. And thanks for coming to the show. It was so great to see you. Kelly, there you go. Enter witty Hal comment here. Well, you don't have to do that. You made the cat come in. Thanks. Hey, Maddie. What are you doing back there? What are you doing? Are you coming to hang out? All right. Maddie's come to visit. Yeah, this, God, the idiocy of these people. I can't. I mean, just madness. Let me see if this audio, I have to see if this audio will play from here. Because one of the most amazing, they literally thought they could spoil out the other news cycle simply by saying they're going to have the G7 at Doral, Bedbug Central. I mean, they thought that was going to be a win. Hi, Beth. How's it going? Yeah, what about we got the oil now, we as in Russia? Yeah, that's the amazing point. Like, it's funny, like, it feels like he's in on phone calls with these folks, and they just, for some reason, it's like that one time when Rick Santorum almost said the N-word on the air, because, he hangs out with people who say it far too often, and he almost got caught. Thank you. It was a couple weeks ago, but I appreciate that. Feels good to be 50. I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, that would be the only upside, Hal Vickery, is if Putin actually came to Doral and they get he got the last room. So yeah. Yeah, they're now calling the nuclear weapons on the Turkish base items because Trump let that fly. Damage control, it's the beginning of the end for Trump. Well, here's hoping. Russia got the oil, we got the bill. That's definitely true. Not that he requested something on his behalf, Trump's request. Thanks. Well, it is to benefit his campaign and himself. But I would argue that the Biden stuff is him asking for help with the election, and that's what will actually be, part of the legal issue with what he'll get busted for and the obstruction around it. But the reality is this, when Nancy Pelosi stood up to him this week in that meeting and said all roads lead to Putin with you, that's what she was talking about. I mean, there, no mistake about it. The CrowdStrike thing is to get Russia off the hook for what they have done and allow the sanctions to be lifted, because that's the promise he made to Putin. Mike Flynn made that promise. Don't worry about the sanction. We'll get rid of them when we're in charge. There's obviously a lot of talk about the whole, Doral being the site of, good Lord, of the G7. And to quote Betty Davis, what a dump. The defense that Mulvaney put forward was one of the most ridiculous things that I think in a lot of ways it felt like, anyways, if you were looking at how they were doing, that they were planning on pushing back against the impeachment news cycle by dropping this kind of like, oh my God, how dare he bomb, to keep people are just outraged. I'm just trying to do stuff. It's not my fault I have the best properties ever and the biggest chocolate cake. And so I think they sent Mulvaney out to push Doral as the site. And the ridiculousness of him laying out the case for why Doral is supposedly the best site is just goofy. It's, we sent teams out to 11 different places, and we worked it down to 4 finalists in Colorado and Maine and Florida or whatever, and far and away the greatest site to possibly have the G7 in the entirety of the continental United States, plus Hawaii and Alaska, not Puerto Rico, God help us, not Puerto Rico, is clearly Doral. I mean, you want nothing really says, speaks to a World Economic Conference like a crap golf course that's underwater financially, that's had bed bugs and C listings for its kitchen. Who are they competing against? A Motel 6 in Fresno? Honestly, like what truck stops were they looking at to compare? Like, well, compared to, the come and go in northern Wisconsin, outside of Madison, Doral's obviously the one you want to go to. You don't want to spend the night on the bathroom floor of that. By the way, that's the real name of a real place. Don't get mad at me. That's true. So the Mulvaney response has been sort of the gift that our second version of game, set, match. Notice how we don't even have to talk about the whistleblower anymore. Have you noticed since Mulvaney, no one is talking about the whistleblower. Who needs a whistleblower anymore? They're saying it. That's the amazing point. Obviously they put out the memo, not a transcript, their version of a transcript, thinking it would exonerate Trump, thinking somehow it would be a good idea. And ultimately, for God's sake, they were shocked, clearly shocked, that it was a perfect call. Look at they were so shocked when I put out the transcript. Shocked. Schiff comes out and says a lie. I didn't say that. Then we put out the transcript. He never thought we would put out the transcript. Well, guess what, dude? You put out the transcript, then Schiff made a statement. But anyways, the gaslighting continues, I suppose. But this idea that somehow, we even need whistles blown. Like, these people can just go home. Mulvaney just walked into a rake in such a spectacular fashion that this is the second time on this one alone. And it has to be hubris. It has to be some sort of just overwhelming madness on their part. Like, oh, we got away with this one. We walked. We're untouchable now. Oh my gosh, this was. like this in general is the story across the board, by the way, is a bunch of people coming out and saying, actually, Mick Mulvaney didn't do anything wrong. Mick Mulvaney just said what he saw. He just said it. That's what happened. He wasn't, Mulvaney arguably wasn't anything wrong with what he said because it was true. The only thing that I would argue with is his categorization of the quid pro quo as something normal that we do in public or in terms of intergovernmental connection with stuff, that people do that kind of thing, that governments do that quid pro quo all the time. We'll give you aid if you give us this. Standard behavioral kind of things. But in this case, that part of it had already been satisfied, and Trump decides to get his buddies to go out there and handle this whole shadow. How much do we have to hear about the frigging deep state and all this deep state nonsense? These unelected people who have been in office for a long time, operating behind the scenes, this crazy conspiracy of the deep state. And then Trump starts his own extrajudicial investigation with Rudy Giuliani and a couple of Ukrainian dudes with Russian financial ties who got arrested for dumping money into that was a funny Freudian slip, Republican coffers for their elections. Pete Sessions literally is done for this. And he's not the only one. A bunch of these guys are having DeSantis in Florida, $50,000 from these guys, but I never met him. I don't really know him. Video comes out of him hugging them when he sees them at an event. Hugging. I mean, I will give Trump a total pass on any of those pictures. And people will go, here's a picture with you. You said you didn't know these guys. Here's a picture of you. Okay, look. The one with Don Jr. sitting with him, totally incriminating. Totally. He was having a dinner meeting with these jerks, and they got a picture with him there as light compromat to hold on to him. But these thumbs up pictures that Trump has with everybody, these donors, whatever, he doesn't care. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know who these people are. He doesn't care. This guy doesn't have any friends. Trump doesn't have any friends. He doesn't know anybody. He's got users and sycophants. That's it. So if he's standing in a picture with Lev and Igor, I believe him if he says, I don't know these guys. If there's pictures of them at dinner, yeah, then we'll talk. And I don't doubt that he had dinner with them. The point I'm trying to make is those pictures are not those like campaign pictures unless there's an overt amount of snuggling going on in those pictures. They don't mean anything because I myself stand in line after shows and take picture after picture after picture after picture. And if you brought one of them up to me 5 years from now or 2 years from now or 6 months from now and went, remember this person? Did they just stole a school bus full of children and drove it off a cliff? Do you approve of that? Obviously I don't know that person. So these kind of stand-up pictures, that doesn't concern me. What concerns me is the fact that Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, was having lunch with Lev and Igor when they were ready to fly to Vienna. They were leaving lunch to go to the airport to fly to Vienna with one-way tickets. That's not that weird in Europe, by the way, if you're going to stay for an indeterminate amount of time. These guys are rich. Don't worry about it. But it is, it's a nice little part of the mystery. It's not that weird, but yeah. So they're flying out that day. They get arrested at the airport after having lunch with the president's lawyer. And he's got a ticket to go to Vienna the next day. And they're going to meet Dmitry Firtash, who's under an extradition order and is trying not to be brought back to the United States to face charges. They're going to all meet with that guy. And yeah, that's fine. The amount of, can you imagine if Obama meter pegging that would go on in this? It's just off the charts. So and by the way, and chat room, maybe you can tell me this, and callers perhaps as well, 773-763-9278. We'll be taking your calls. We have not heard a lot about the whistleblower lately since Mulvaney made his flap. But you know that that whole story has dried up a lot since, and you know who's not been heard from a lot as well? Rudy Giuliani. That dude was everywhere. You could not pry him off a seat at a news desk anywhere. Thank you, Kathy B. Thanks very much. That's awesome. Oh, an unboxing gift. That's cool. I didn't even realize I was doing an unboxing. Maybe that's what I am doing. This is an unboxing video of the Trump presidency. Or reboxing and a refund. But Giuliani was everywhere. You know, listen, idiot. He was screaming at everybody, full-throated, just defense of the president. This is ridiculous, and there's this whole thing, and I want to know the conspiracy, and I'm going to look into this, and I'm defending my client. And did you ask the Ukrainians about Joe Biden? No, of course not. So you did ask him. Of course I did. Like that. I mean, remember that he was everywhere. Not anymore. Not since that lunch. That in and of itself is well said, Rocky Mountain Mike. Trump is a regrifter. This is thank you, Lewis. Appreciate that. Hi, Florida. The amazing thing, yes, smash the thumbs up. Thank you, Benny Loco. Reminding everybody, give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, become a Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/HalSparks. We're at 109 right now. We're trying to reach 500. Every little bit helps. Please join. A bunch of the folks who are patrons came to the show for free on Friday night because they're members of the Blue Patch Brigade, and they're just even at the $5 level, you're getting a guest in free to my shows. It all works out. I'm adding all kinds of free stuff because you guys know I would do this show even if the Patreon completely collapsed. So there we go. And also, the show is now available. Got to take a break. The show is now available on the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network. Go to sexyliberal.com or your iTunes or anywhere you get your podcasts, and they're gonna make a little truncated version. Hi, Chris. Chris Lavoie gets to edit it. He's doing a great job. And, of course, the new podcast with me and Jackie Schechner, the Wonky Dunk, where we get all wonky about bills and legalese and all the stuff. And our first episode, we talked about the impeachment law and how it works out, but it's cool. You'll enjoy it. We get to, I like to dig deep into that stuff. So thank you, Bob Peterson. Appreciate it. We'll be back right after this. Let's see if I can. I pulled all this audio and it just vanished. I don't know why that is. It's so annoying. Yeah, we're doing good. There's 242 people just watching on the YouTube channel right now. That doesn't even include the people who are watching on Facebook. Hi, Facebook folks. And the folks that are watching on Periscope. What's up, Twitter? Good to see you. If you could, everybody, send out a link to the show right now so everybody can join us. That would be really awesome. Greatly appreciate that. That would help immensely. What's up, Evergnome? Good to see you. I can give Donald Trump a pass if I was one Russian, but we've got to remember he married a former Soviet Union wife whose father worked for the KGB. That's an important distinction, I suppose, yeah. How, like on Twitch, check him out on, I see, yes. Yeah, I'm on Twitch right now as well, so hi, Twitch folks. Good to see you. Feel free to give bits and sub and follow and join and scrub. I don't know all the terms yet. Be all twitchy. Something like that. That'd be great. And I'm sorry if I look a little ragged out this morning. I had 2 shows last night. And get up early to work on the show. Thank you. Let's see. I want to lose that thread, so I'll that up there, and then, yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Driftglass. Looking forward. I'm going to be on the on Driftglass podcast next Friday. We're going to tape it next Friday. I'm excited. Yeah. So be there for that. That's a good time. Thanks Tom for the tweet out. Appreciate it. Thank you, Porfirio Diaz and C. Taylor. Thank you guys for letting everybody know on Twitter. I see that going out, so thanks. Sharing your friends' Facebook pages and whatnot, and who's it, what's it. Yeah. And do we have any calls yet? Just a heads up. I don't know if anybody. Huh? Good. Okay. Cool. 773-763-9278 is our number. And I think for everyone, just the bless you. Mom just sneezed across the house. Mick Mulvaney, standing up there and saying, yeah, we do we do quid pro quos all the time. This is how it works. Get over it. This is the actual thing here.
That's why we held up the money. Now, those were the driving factors. Did he also mention to me in the past the corruption related to the DNC server? Absolutely, no question about that. But that's it, and that's why we held up the money. Now, there was a report.
So the demand for an investigation into the Democrats was part of the reason that it was on to withhold funding to Ukraine.
The look back to what happened in 2016 certainly was part of the thing that he was worried about in corruption with that nation, and that is absolutely appropriate.
Withholding the funding.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Just literally at the end for withholding the funding. Yeah. Okay. Understand, by the way, that money look back to 2016. That's the CrowdStrike thing. That's it was actually the Ukrainians that hacked the DNC server. Whatever. I mean, this is the Seth Rich conspiracy on a presidential level. This is Mick Mulvaney, Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and these sock puppet Russian millionaires who live and work in Ukraine, operating basically a PR redo of the entire election of 2016. Now, Trump had dodged the bullet on this. Like I said, Trump had gotten away with it. Trump had no problems after the Mueller report had come out. It had clear indications of crimes, but thanks to the interference by William Barr and his refusal to allow for the indictment of a sitting president, even when he committed crimes this egregious, it stopped right there. Now, granted, the House went into election mode and took the mandate of the people that they had gotten in 2018 and started marching forward, following these obstruction of justice issues further, looking into his finances, which is clearly one of the roots of this. But the CrowdStrike thing, the whole looking back at 2016, nobody's undoing his vote. Nobody's going to kick Trump out of office based on them finding out that the 2016 election was messed around. Not at this point, not a year from the next election, not the August before the 1 year cycle starts into the was anybody arguing that they were going to use the results of the 2016 election or the Russian interference to nullify Donald Trump's presidency on, however lovely a thought that might be? Nobody's actually doing that. So who is that for? Who is it for? Looking back to clear up the stuff on 2016. The only reason to do that is to get Russia off the hook so we can lift the sanctions for the benefit of Vladimir Putin. And why would you care? Honestly, this guy murders dissidents in the street. He sends hit squads to other European countries to have them murdered. He had a guy shot down in Germany not too long ago. He jails his political opponents so no one can run against him. He Even the NRA's love for this guy is a mystery. You know how hard I'm trying not to swear right now? It's hard to speak even sometimes with some of the stuff. And that's not even getting started with the Turkey, Kurdish, and Syrian issue, which we're going to talk about in the next hour very heavily. There is nothing to like about Vladimir Putin. Nothing. He's a murderer. He's a thug. He's gutting his own country. Russia, I mean, if anybody says that Vladimir Putin is a good leader or a strong leader or a capable leader, then why would a country that size have an economy smaller than Texas? That much oil, that much gas, that many people, that much land, that much farmable land. On paper, the mass of land that Russia has, the territories it already has, the resources in there. I mean, if China has rare earth minerals, so does Russia. There is nothing inherently in the ground or in the volume of human beings necessarily, although there's a drastic difference. Maybe, I think Russia maybe has a third the people that China has. But there's nothing inherently where they couldn't have an economy as big and as pivotal as China, an industry, technology. They were in the space race with us, for God's sakes. Russia, they were the first country to get a living thing in space. They put a dog in space and a monkey. And I think the first spacewalk, if I'm not mistaken. If you're the first guy or first spacewalk. Anyways, they were toe to toe with us in technology. And they've been free to operate as an open economic country since the early 90s, just like China. And they've done nothing to catch up. Russia is effectively just the European Saudi Arabia. And as the price of oil goes down, and as our use of it goes down, when everybody has been talking about, myself included, nearly every Democrat I've ever heard talk about it, that getting off of oil serves not only our environmental needs, but our national security needs. The whole point. And thank you, Stephen Lee. I appreciate it. I will keep it up. You get a keep it up sticker from him. That was cute. The whole point, like us getting off of oil was, to clean up our air and our water, but also to not rely on countries that are not ethically up to the standard that this country used to stand for anyways. And to not have us under the thumb of people who are dangerous and do not have our best interests at heart. Mainly, we focused on the Middle East in that. But Europe is in that situation with Russia. They're the same country. Vladimir Putin and MBS are the same dude. They have this artificial scam version of leadership based on some nonsensical idea of permanence. That, in the case of Saudi Arabia, at least it's royalty, which is ridiculous, but at least it's been around long enough where you can understand where people follow the line. In Russia, they just bounce back and forth, switching jobs because you can't be president or prime minister for so long. But you can get reelected. So he just puts somebody in the jockeying position. There's no reason Russia couldn't be as rich as China right now, as capable as China, developing as much stuff as China. But they're not going to, and they can't. And not because Russians aren't smart or capable or curious or scientifically adept. It's because their leader's a maniac who's gutting all the money out of the country, hiding it in other places. And one of those places was Deutsche Bank, and it was one of the only places Donald Trump could get loans. And if he calls in that marker, Donald Trump knows he's dead, that his crap properties will go into Chapter 11, We'll be back. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio. When we come back, we're going to be talking Tulsi and Hillary Clinton's comments on her. We're going to be talking about the Turkey, Syria, and Kurdish situation, which, horrifying. Horrifying. We'll be back. I can't begin to tell you how painful it was to watch you back on Stephanie Miller, but in spite of it, I can't wait to wait for the next time. Thanks, Bob. I don't quite know what you mean, but all right. Hey, Syed. Good to see you. Thanks for sharing it on your wall, Louis. We love you if you look like me. Yeah. Thanks, Robin. I appreciate that. Getting a jump in here. Do you have to do we have to see eye to eye politically for me to just admire you and love you at pieces? Apparently not. Nope. Not at all. That's the beauty of a democracy. We can disagree around the margins. I mean, there's some ethical points I won't go below. If you go below them, no. But a difference in opinion about the carrying out of, if you have a deeply held belief and it's not moving, I can find a way to mitigate, the freedoms of the world so that you can enjoy your freedom without it infringing on anybody else's. That's what America's about. I'm glad you found me on Twitter as well. Oh, well, and thank you for delivering the mail, Jen. I appreciate it. It's nice to know I'm in your headphones or whatever when you're walking around. That's good. Rolling back through the chat on this. See if we can get a little grip on this guy. Oh, that was a Nightbot. Hold on. Cannot borrow your way to prosperity, and this is going to end very badly and make 08 look like a picnic. We'll see. There's a lot of playing around the margins. Yeah, but I know it. If you guys have noticed, my Twitter feeds have been a little more spicy than usual. I usually censor my swears on there because it's technically in public, but damn. That's right, Greisicle. The average Russian makes like $9,000 a year. And there's no reason for it. They're capable human beings. It's just depressing how poorly their country is run. Thank you so much, Carl. I knew you would know that. I was waiting for you to post. I appreciate you for saying that. Yeah, Gagarin was the first man in space. Leonov was the first spacewalker. There you go. Big oil is the bane of the planet. That's true. By the way, check out, this is completely unsolicited, but check out Rachel Maddow's new book, Blowout, which is also the name of one of my favorite John Travolta movies, interestingly enough. What's up, Donald? How are you? Yeah, Leica the dog, it passed away because it was in space. Thank you, Ryan. I will indeed. Nightbot watches for. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I finally got him up. Yeah, I felt bad after you were like, I'll take the picture with my phone this time, you rat. I was having a hard time uploading them to their without the multiply selecting ones, and and it was because I had a bunch of them in a row and I was only going to put the best ones of it, like for whatever reason, their app wouldn't let me select the multiple ones, so I had to do it at a desktop, and then I got carried away in life. But I'm glad you got them, and thanks for taking new ones. Thank you, Edward. I appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you guys for making this the fastest growing progressive show on the air. We officially have that moniker. That's nice. Even after being on the air all this time, we've seen a new, bump in our visibility across the board, and yeah, it's been great. Yeah, cool. All right, where are these videos? I can put them in here. Where are you at? The weirdest part, again about like Mulvaney's. Hold on, I'm looking for a file. Mulvaney's, bragging about Doral was that it was so ham-handed. Like, it was just...
No, but I would imagine we would share dollar figures with you afterwards. I mean, that's ordinary course of business. It shows the merits. By the way, you're going to get this answer a lot, okay? Because I don't talk about how this place runs on the inside. So if you ask us, if you want to see our paper on how we did this, the answer is...
So they put an ad together, basically. This is Trump
announced today that we're going to do the 46th G7 summit at the Trump National Doral facility in Miami, Florida. It's the most recognizable name in the English language and probably around the world right now. Doral was by far and away the best physical facility for this meeting. And obviously the common areas are going to be perfect for our needs down there. There's separate buildings with their own rooms, but it's almost like they built this facility to host this type of event.
Like, literally, Trump, they made an ad. Doral made an ad of that, of him speaking. They knew, and this, he was directed to say this specifically, by the way. And Doral, by the way, opens up, like a lot of things in Florida, on a swamp and a river inlet, which is, I'm going to guess, a sniper's paradise. Like, I don't know how you argue that that's perfect. In that, like, honestly, you sure shooting could secure Aspen a lot easier than you could Doral. Just on the like, obviously, like, that part's nuts. But then they're like, hey, can you show us your forms that you went to all these places? You went and looked at Doral, and you looked at all these other places, and you kept a little list, and you worked it down to 4. That's what you said. And you went to Colorado, and you went to the other places, and you went on site, you had site visits, and you finally came to the determination that Doral was perfect. And a reporter asked Mulvaney, how can we see the paperwork on how you did this?
This is above board. Are you going to share documents that show how you arrived at this decision with the Congress?
No, but I would imagine we would share dollar figures with you afterwards. I mean, that's ordinary course of business.
That shows the merits.
By the way, you're going to get this answer a lot. Okay, I don't talk about how this place runs on the inside. So if you ask us, if you want to see our paper on how we did this, the answer is absolutely not. Yes, sir.
Yeah, honestly, like, how does that pass muster? I mean, this is straight up emoluments. This is giving a middle finger to the emoluments clause in and of itself. Now, keep in mind, he announces this, that they're going to have the G7 at Doral. They're going to have, that and they're not going to show you how they came to that decision, but you got to know that they looked everywhere, high and low. This was the best place in the world. Doral is underwater, like all of Trump's properties. If it wasn't for U.S. taxpayer dollars and him visiting them, a third of his presidency spent at his own properties, they would be underwater. Two of them would be in Chapter 11 right now. If it wasn't for U.S. taxpayer funds paying to keep those doors open because he goes there so often, he would have had to have sold them in the middle of his presidency because they were underwater. And Doral is no different. Doral's a dump. There are hundreds of sites in the United States that are great for the G7. I mean, it's absurd. One of the things you might even think about doing is there's like a fortress area in Puerto Rico that was one of the oldest standing walls in in this part of the world, like in the New World, right? And it's amazing. Have it there. Go, this is what climate change is doing. Look at us. And of course, though, the problem with that is that Mulvaney said that climate change will not be discussed at the G7, according to Donald Trump. And I got news for him. Yeah, it will. Yeah, it's actually going to come up. So, this whole thing has been going down. Mulvaney comes out with this, this effectively, and thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. He's trying to help make the show grow even faster. Mulvaney comes out with this thing about Doral, and that's used as cover for this, ridiculous "we meant to do that" defense, right? And in that, we meant to do that defense is because they've dug themselves a hole trying to basically protect Russia from sanctions. That's it. Like, just to cover for their butt. Meanwhile, Donald Trump was on a phone call with Erdogan, Turkey, the guy who allowed his guards to beat up American citizens, and they were never charged for assaulting peaceful protesters, and Trump never said anything about it. That he basically was on the phone with Erdogan, got tired of being harangued by him, and said, "Fine, we'll get out. I don't want to be there anyway. Meh." And basically had a "I'm taking my ball and going home" moment. Announced we were going to be getting out. Told our troops to stand down and not defend the Kurds if the Turks rolled in. When Donald Trump said this week, they've been trying for 10 years to do this, he means Erdogan. This whole, and Trump does this a lot. He does these things that are awful that people have been trying to do for a long time, but they couldn't get done. And for some reason, because the Republican Party will go belly up anytime he asks, he can now get stuff through. And he's like, "I got this done when nobody else could." It's like, yeah, because nobody else thought someone would be horrible enough to do it, and especially in this case. So the Kurds lost 11,000 fighters fighting ISIS alongside of us. Our own soldiers fought alongside them, trained them. They were comrades in arms. They branched off from the other Kurds that were part of like the PKK and other forces to form a democratic coalition because they were fighting for the same ideals as as the soldiers fighting next to them. And then Donald Trump decides in an afternoon, just on a whim, because he's tired of being on the phone, that we're getting out. And he tells Erdogan this on the phone, and the pro-Turkish militias move in immediately and start gunning people down in the street. I just posted this morning a reporter and an activist and his wife and baby were all shot down by these folks who are mixes of Al-Qaeda and ISIS fighters. The Turkish are just using them as like a genocidal cleansing force, which is, by the way, the exact same tactic that Vladimir Putin is using in Ukraine, sending in mercenaries and blue shirts. This is a strategy that people have used all the time. And ultimately, it's good for Vladimir Putin if the ISIS fighters that are trapped along the Syrian border get freed, because effectively they act as a violent flank source coming into Turkey and up into Europe. Russia squeezes through Ukraine from the north. The ISIS fighters flow up from the south, causing havoc and distracting the public and causing people to jerk right politically because they think it has something to do with immigration policy as opposed to just Donald Trump opening the floodgates of terrorists. Donald Trump effectively opened 20 Guantanamo bays last week. Just let it happen. Told our soldiers not to protect the Kurds while they had to fight. Now, a lot of these Kurds don't want those guys running around. They were shooting people as they were running away, too. This was a prison break. But some of those people got loose. There was a car bombing by an ISIS fighter 2 days later in Syria, in the Kurdish regions. And Donald Trump sends Mike Pence and Mike Pompeo over there to negotiate a ceasefire, is what they're calling it, which turns out to be a 5-day pause in direct shelling by Turkey. Not going to stop the militias at all. Not going to stop the snipers. Not going to stop any of their secondary forces who are doing all this stuff anyways. And he's Trump basically greenlights this, and our troops haven't gotten out yet. So the whole area is now a powder keg. The roads are all cut off. They're not protected by our forces, the Kurdish forces anymore. They've run to fight the Syrians. The Syrians or the Turks rather. So the Turks are bombing those whole areas. So our troops are going to have to drive through areas that are. We find out that the bases have actually been bracketed by fire. Meaning, if you try to go right, we shoot the right. If you try to go left, we shoot the right. They've been bombing both sides of the bases. We ended up getting a group of our troops out of one of our bases and had to bomb it as we were leaving so that it wouldn't fall into ISIS hands. And the attack on just Kurdish civilians, the slaughter of them, and the video that was coming back from there is just horrifying. And it wasn't a situation where, like in Iraq, we rolled in and we were causing some sort of big tumult. This was created by a vacuum, not by the reality on the ground. The ISIS people, they like from the Christians and various Islamic sects, as well as these kind of like hyper religious minorities that are up in the hills of Syria that have been isolated out. All of them, the ISIS fighters want dead. They want to kill all those people. And a coalition was formed pushing back against ISIS for that very reason. And they didn't care how they killed them. They killed, ISIS. This is not, this Trump idea that the Kurds and the Turks have been fighting for land forever and they're fighting for their land. This is a selfish thing. Why are we backing them in a selfish thing? They were fighting ISIS along with us because ISIS wanted to expand into everywhere and kill everyone that wasn't them. And Trump just let thousands of them loose. Just compare this to the hand wringing and the gnashing of teeth around Benghazi, for Christ's sake. Just really, it is hard to picture a situation where any of this had gone down under under Obama, where the Trey Gowdys of the world and the Jim Jordans wouldn't have just been losing their minds the entire time. I can't wrap my head around how that's okay. Sorry, I ran the break. We got to take a break. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. There is no point where any of this stuff that happened in Turkey makes any sense. By any measure, under any other president. And the weirdness that Ukraine, they'll give a pass. Ukraine, the biggest country in Europe, an ally country. Russia can roll roughshod over there, murdering people. They can kill people, dissidents. They can throw reporters out of windows. MBS can chop up a legal resident in the United States who was reporting against him. And it was the Kurdish territories in northern Syria that finally brought the Republicans around. We'll be back. Wow. Hal, any more news on the 50 nukes in Turkey? Rolling back through you guys. The restream chat just ate crap for a second. I don't know why that is. Yeah. The whole Mulvaney thing is just another example of one of those, like, I only hire the best people. So good. Thank you, Anna, for that. Unfortunately, I agree that it will indeed probably take us decades to recover. Yeah. How dare I ask about the decisions of King Trump? I know. How dare I? Alligator farts cause cancer. Trump's blunders worst geopolitical disaster since the Iraq invasion. It will affect so many for a long time. So many unnecessary innocent deaths. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay, cool. Obama did the same thing with fake overthrow of Assad. Assad wasn't overthrown. Assad's still in power. Have to run selling live audio equipment and have to meet a guy at BP station to finance my plan. Do it, man. Kill it, Rocky Mountain Mike. Okay, there we go. I'm catching up. Thanks, Mark. My birthday was the 25th, just a couple weeks ago, but thank you. I appreciate it greatly. Don't forget to smash that like if you haven't already. Do it, do it, do it. And by the way, can I remind everyone when it comes to Trump and all this stuff about leaks, and they're leaking and the people are leaking, and he wants everybody in his White House to take a lie detector test. You can't leak a lie. The minute you say something is a leak, it's true. Now, you can fake a leak. You can pose one. You can intentionally leak something that's untrue as a strategy and pretend it's a leak. That's just dissembling. That's just disinformation. And White Houses do that. But in the case of Donald Trump, if you ever see him going, he's a leaker, he's leaking. If they're leaking, they're telling the truth. It's true. So that's just the reality. We have a caller. Let's grab our caller. Who do we have there, Devin? Who's on the line? Excellent. Hey, Robert. Welcome. Spectacular. I'm great. Go ahead. It's an avalanche these days. Right. 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 Right.
And make him sign, that this meeting's going to be in Kentucky. Let Mitch not sign that. Let's see what happens
Right.
to him. All the economic advantages to that backwards country or state. And the thing about Turkey, I mean, somebody here in America should have wrote an op-ed already, whether a Democrat or Republican, to say, hey, you know what? Don't come here. I know he invited you, but you're not welcomed here.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is heinous. It's disgusting. Ethnic cleansing, and it's not the first time. Just ask the Armenians about how Turks treat people.
Right.
Over the course of history, and with Russia, they're gonna keep doing what they're doing until they can't. Right? It's just like the thief is gonna keep stealing until he gets caught.
Right.
Or he knows he can't do it. So basically, if we tell we tell Russians here in America, you might get sent back once we get a new president, or something, like Mitch said, to the Mexicans will self-deport, and and meaning that, if they don't have work, they'll go back to where they come from. I'm saying if the Russians know that they're on the hook for this guy, or if they can't explain their own wealth and they're building the $10 million house here in South Florida,
Yeah.
you got to tell me. I mean, come on, your country came from nothing in 1990. There's no way you amassed that much wealth. You're not a scientist or doctor. There's nothing that
That's right.
You got to be a mafioso or in tight with Putin.
That's right.
There's no other way around it.
And you're not even allowed to go out and do business without his blessing in that regard. So I completely,
Right.
yeah, you're absolutely right. They're a kleptocracy. They've been gutting that country. Putin only lets people that align themselves with him and his needs to get money out of the country, and they put it in places like, you can skim a little off the top, I'll let you, in exchange for you're going to put it in the pockets of the people I want to control, including Donald John Trump, period, and Eric Trump, and Don Jr.
Right, this whole thing with servers, this whole thing with, I guarantee you, they already started making T-shirts with, what Mulvaney says, get over it.
Oh, yeah.
And using it as a fundraiser tool. I bet you those are already.
Oh yeah, they are. They exist already. Yep. No question.
So there was no accident, and. It's just, what the thing is that we caught on to them. We actually, we know on Facebook when we see a fake troll. We know on Twitter when we see trolls and bots, and we see the faceless people or two American first names, and they have strong opinions that support Donald Trump with such ambiguity, because they won't, because here's what I do. I go back, I'm from Rochester, New York, and I go back to the local media in Rochester because I don't dare say anything here locally because I don't want these morons to hunt me down or harass me or my family. So I feel safe by going back because I still am part of that community of Rochester. I go back there many times.
Yeah.
But what I do is, I challenge these people. I send them pictures of buildings in Rochester that only Rochesterians would know, and they can't answer. I go, what's this building called? They can't tell me who they. I go, so that's obviously you're not from Rochester. You're probably not even American. So why is it that you're here in Rochester? You're here to shape opinions and to push an agenda that's contrary to anything American. It makes.
Well, and also it's super cheap. That's the one thing. Here's the thing about like social media and all. Like, it doesn't cost anything. You send a bunch of people you don't even want around over to other countries to basically complain. And since there's always in every country plenty to complain about, all you do is boost the complaints to a level where they're just reaching a fever pitch to show that, everybody's discontented. And then back home, in Russia, they're going, nobody likes democracy. It's a pain in the ass. Wouldn't it be a lot better if I just stayed in control forever like President Xi? I mean, isn't voting annoying, and you can't trust it anyways? And even if you do, what happens if somebody you don't like gets in there? That's the whole thing. So you're absolutely right. Like, there's, again, and this is also about your engagement. Everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice and listening to Robert, understand that if you're engaged online anywhere, YouTube comment sections, Reddit threads, Twitter, Facebook, take everything with a grain of salt when you get attacked by somebody you don't know personally. If somebody engages with you personally or they're a blue check mark and you know that they actually exist and are actually who they say they are, then have at it. But if it's anybody else jumping in there going, I told you this place was awful and I told you American blah, 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 and I'm for this candidate over this candidate, just tap the brakes and understand that there's a very strong chance that it's a lie, that the person that you're talking to doesn't exist, that you are being catfished politically. And there's a ton of that going around. We got to take a break. We'll be back. It's the House Sparks Radio program. Thanks for the call, Robert. We'll be back right after this. 773-763-9278 is our number.
Hi there, Saver. Looking for a Medicare plan to help you save on more than just prescriptions? Medicare Advantage plans may offer prescription drug, medical, and hospital coverage. Walgreens is a preferred network pharmacy with many Medicare Advantage plans, including United Healthcare. So when you enroll in a plan with Walgreens as your preferred pharmacy, you know you're
Can
saving
you kill
smartly.
commercials coming my way, Chicago?
Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Other plans may be accepted.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do you want your basement to be dry most of the time?
Oh, maybe not.
If so, Permaseal is not the company
Still getting
for you.
commercials.
Permaseal, we believe your basement should be dry all the time, no matter how hard it rains. Hi, I'm Roy
Devin?
Spencer, president of Permaseal. I hear
Yeah,
story
can you?
after story.
I'm
of
getting
homeowners
commercials
who
my
say that
direction.
the only leak
Can you
is
kill
about
them
winter
this
rain.
way?
My bad. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thanks. I want to learn how to tie a tie so it goes down to my knees. Right. We've gone from Orwell to Heller and Catch-22. Milo Minderbender has the air base blown up as part of a deal with the enemy. Yeah. I'm glad your headache's getting better, Shellbell. Hi. Hi. What you doing?
Just coming up to check on it.
Mm-hmm. Might want to put some pants on, perhaps? Yeah? Maybe a good idea? At least some PJs or something while you're hanging out with Gigi? What am I eating? I'm eating a Think Bar because my eating schedule has to be earlier this weekend because of these two shows a night.
60 how?
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, well, sadly, I think we'll make it. I want my, but it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to take a lot of work. Oh, did Stephen? Yeah, thank you, Stephen Lee. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. What's happening, Eyes Ablaze? Good to see you. Everybody gets mad at Nightbot for telling them not to scream in the chat. It's adorable. You guys, don't fight Nightbot. That is so weird. Restream. What's happening with you? Reload. Like the page becomes invisible. It's super odd. But there's been an update. I gotta update all my system software. I didn't want to do it before the show.
Sparks radio program, mega worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
Welcome back to the show. So, Devin, I don't know if we have any other callers. Let me know if we do. But the fascinating part of the last couple of weeks in terms of the Republican turn around the the Turkey invasion of of Syria, and how that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and then finally a bunch of these folks are I don't know why. I mean, there might be some obvious direct connection to Kurdish Christians that somehow have a thread that goes through the Pat Robertsons of the world and the like. But I mean, in all honesty, it boggles the mind how a lot of other stuff was okay, but this has been the turning point. Now, personally, there's been a couple of moments in this, in the footage around this, and in the elements of this story where excuse me, shoo, thank you, love you, as the Syrian story played out, the video that came out of people getting killed, and the ensuing response, to it by Republicans, which was heartening to some degree, that some of them seemed to suddenly care. And Trump's response that, you didn't have, it didn't matter. It's like two kids fighting in a vacant lot. You got to just let them fight. Some people you just let them fight, and it's over. Havrin Khalaf, she was a women's rights activist, murdered there. And I on a personal note, that was one of, as you're scrolling through social media and these videos are coming up, seeing the video of her dying has stuck with me in a way that it's just haunting. It's painful because she was just in so much pain, and they stoned her to death after she'd been shot and assaulted, and she was still trying to talk while they were stoning her to death. These Turkish mercenary forces that Donald Trump turned loose on these people. And it is not going to stop. Just because Turkey is on paper not firing stuff doesn't mean any of these militias that they set loose in there, the cleansing force that they sent in, are going to stop anytime soon. So the fact that they're trying to walk it back, or Trump is making his statement that this is such, no one believed a deal could be made like this, his just callous indifference, and it's disgusting. And I think the odd part was, I think Republicans were, I think it was harsh enough that it finally woke up a bunch of them. Where he, they were like, wait a minute, this is, even for him, this is horrifying. So dealing with that, just, I sort of was at a loss for words. I apologize, but watching him say this, this is, listen to him talk about this.
Millions of people.
Hold on.
Millions of power. Turkey is a friend of ours, a neighbor of ours, and they're a member of NATO. And what Turkey is getting now is they're not going to have to kill millions of people, and millions of people aren't going to have to kill them. This was going to be a war of lots of other groups coming in. This wasn't going to stop with Turkey against the Kurds. A lot of different groups were coming in. Power.
This is, and none of this was in need of happening. This was Donald Trump allowing Turkey to get what it wanted. The whole, they're not going to have to kill millions of people. No, they're just going to kill hundreds of thousands and drive millions of people off of their land. His whole thing about they didn't help us in World War II, and which they did, but they weren't at Normandy, I guess, is his idea. His idea that this is somehow a win for them, that this is a positive. I mean, it's astounding. And like, it will not change. I mean, he got direction from somebody. I mean, my own personal beliefs is that, Putin and Assad wanted this territory. Turkey's okay with letting them have it as long as it's not the Kurds. So if Turkey will turn a blind eye to the Russians and Assad killing all the Kurds and moving them back out of this quote unquote safe zone, so that they can have a sound border and just agree on a territorial border. But this benefits Vladimir Putin and Bashar al-Assad. This is not to the benefit of the Kurds. This is not to the benefit of the United States. Certainly is not to the benefit of our national security to release thousands of ISIS fighters. And here's the thing. Even if you believed that a creation of a safe zone by Turkey with the help of, with the Kurds moving back and the creation of this idea, that's the kind of thing that you present as a negotiating point and you work to create that situation. You don't just leave and let the place burn, which is exactly what he did. This is again. I suppose we should take heart that the Republicans are somehow pushing back against this, are somehow finally seeing the light. But and of course, who comes out of the woodwork and puts an op-ed out but Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell does an op-ed saying that pulling out of Syria was a mistake. Pulling out of Syria was a mistake. Meanwhile, that changes nothing. I mean, it effectively is a PR stunt. Puts out this is McConnell's statement. Withdrawing U.S. forces from Syria is a grave strategic mistake. It will leave the American people and homeland less safe, embolden our enemies, and weaken important alliances. Sadly, the recently announced pullout risks repeating the Obama administration's reckless withdrawal from Iraq, which facilitated the rise of the Islamic State in the first place. So, in the first chapter, he blames Obama for what Trump just did. Since the 9/11 terrorist attacks, I've worked with 3 presidential administrations to fight radical Islamic terrorism. I have distilled 3 political lessons from combating this complexity. These are lessons according to Mitch McConnell. 1, the threat is real and cannot be wished away. Okay. These fanatics threaten American interests and American lives. Are permitted to regroup. They will blah blah. Okay, yeah. Second, there is no substitute for American leadership. Well, apparently there is, and there has to be, because there is none right now. No other nation can match our capability to spearhead multinational campaigns that can defeat terrorists and help stabilize the region, which is exactly why Russia wants a chaos agent as our president and him to scuttle all of our alliances. That's why. And third lesson is that we are not in this fight alone. In recent years, the campaigns against the Islamic State and Taliban in Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan have been waged primarily by local forces. The United States has mainly contributed limited, specialized capabilities that enable our local partners to succeed. Ironically, Syria has been a model for this increasingly successful approach. In January, following indications the president was considering withdrawing from U.S. forces, I thought the Senate should reaffirm these crucial principles. Senators would have the opportunity to debate our interests and strategy in the Middle East. The Senate stepped up. Bipartisan supermajority of 70 senators supported an amendment I wrote to emphasize these lessons. Yeah, honestly, harsh language is like, but obviously he has not learned lesson 1 about Donald Trump, lesson 2 about Donald Trump, and lesson 3 about Donald Trump, because these apply to him as well. These lessons supposedly that he's learned about terrorism. The threat is real and cannot be wished away. Trump is a genuine threat to our democracy, cannot be wished away. 2, there's no substitute for American leadership. Americans of all political stripes should stand up for our Constitution and the rights that we hold dear, and not let Russia or MBS or anybody run roughshod over our Constitution just because you have an R on your jersey. And obviously, third, we do not fight this alone. Yes, the resistance, the many different groups, and now it seems an ever-growing splinter of Republicans who actually care are starting to join in this, this genuine concern against this nutcase who basically is at this point wagging the dog around the room by its tail like a helicopter until it's gonna die. Like this, am I happy some of them have finally come on board? Absolutely. Do I count on it lasting more than a week at any given point? No. Meanwhile, Trump this morning is trying to start a hashtag Stop the Coup campaign on Twitter. To which, of course, I responded. The fact that he made it a hashtag proves it's not true. Think of all the military coups we've heard of, where the military storms the palace or the Capitol building or the president or prime minister's quarters or whatever leader is being currently couped at the time. At what point does that person have the time to start a social media tweet storm as their defense? Hashtag stop the coup, right. The fact that they think this is a coup just shows that they don't give a crap about the rule of law in the United States. They won't show up. If you're not going to show up and give information, then the information that you're giving, you are scared to give. Trump himself was like, if you're pleading the fifth, clearly you have something to hide, you're guilty. You're like, you guys you're not following the subpoenas legally required to follow. You are not showing up for subpoenas. You're not giving documents. I mean, like we're on hypocrisy watch anymore, but for crying out loud. We got to take a break. We'll be back. It's the House Marks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We got a short post show today, too, after this next segment. So stick around with us on the YouTube channel if you want to join in on that as well. When we come back, we'll talk Tulsi.
All right, Hal, we have 2 callers left now.
Oh, all right. There you go.
I'm sure one of them's a troll, though, so just a heads up.
Okay. I ain't scared. They always wait till the last section to call because then they go, you're probably going to close me up, blah, 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 so they can gallop their way through.
So you only got 3 minutes, bro. Make it quick.
Yeah, right. Are they first or are they the second call?
They're the second caller.
Okay. Whoa. That's fun. Do you guys know about, in the chat room, do you guys know about, his name is Jagad Guru Sarvaswapanda Paramahamsa. He's the founder of, I'm not even pretending to say that right. He's the founder of the Science of Identity Foundation, a fringe yogi sect based in Hawaii that apparently is Tulsi Gabbard's guru. That's curious. That's fun. Okay, we're coming back in just a second. I'm just reading some stuff on this. That's really weird.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's now time for the happy ending. Yay!
Yeah, our happy endings, we got a couple callers. So who do we have first there, Devin?
First, we have Alan out in Indiana.
Cool. Hey, Alan. How are you? Go ahead.
Hey, Hal, I agree with you. Trump kind of screwed up on this, but at the same notion, Hal, you didn't mention anything about Obama crossing the red line, not crossing it. Also, the JV team. Both sides have got a thing in this.
No, hold on. Well, Hal, let me address each one of them separately. The red line, there was a ton of debate about whether or not we should have had a material red line, whether it was a sanction-based red line or whether it was actual battle boots on the ground. And nobody was going to agree that we were going to actually go full boots on the ground in terms of that. And there was no solid agreement that the actual bombing, that those chemical weapons were used by the Assad government at that point. And so that red line cross that everybody was yelling about the day after it happened was never, we'd never reached the point where we knew for sure who the source of the chemical weapons were from. So that debate carried into shifting the strategy and dealing with them. And it was actually working, by the way. Secondarily, the JV team is true. The only reason, like Al-Qaeda had a worldwide structure. The ISIS guys largely kill Muslims, and then they have straggler, basically the equivalent of school shooters they find all over Europe that they indoctrinate into doing this, but they do not have the threat ability that Al-Qaeda did to put together the bigger, larger terrorist, attacks that, structural ones against entire fighting forces. That's what the reference was.
How bad they are now, though. They have grown in structure. I mean, let's face it, they're a menace to us. They are a menace. So
ISIS?
Just want to acknowledge that, Hal.
Well, no. I mean, ISIS is largely decimated. The strategy that was put in place 6 years ago was working. It's a structural issue within the Middle East and the territorial aspect of what's there. You're going to have those kind of tribal breakouts. The ISIS is a death cult. They are a large scale death cult of people who are, a mix of human beings who have different ideologies within Islam, but effectively they believe the end of the world is coming and want to be a part of it. That's not new just to that part of the world. We've had them. If you look at, on a much smaller scale, obviously, the Jim Jones cult or the Branch Davidians, but it's the same kind of mentality in those particular groups. They are not as big a threat as say climate change, for example, insofar as its death costs, or pollution, or any number of causes that take far more human lives.
Well, anyway, I appreciate taking your time.
Sure.
Hal.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks. And we have another caller on the line as well. Yeah.
Yes, we have Jim out in Elgin.
Cool. Hey, Jim, how are you? Jim, you there? Do we have him? Hello? Jim? There he is.
Hello.
Hey, Jim. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'd like to challenge you in just about every point you're making about Trump. A lot of the problem is the fake media.
Hold on. Hold for a second. Hold on a second. No, listen. Wait. Listen. No, you don't have a point. Start with an actual point. Don't call me a lot of the fake media stuff. No. You don't get to jump on here and start complaining about the media in general. You can talk to me about my points. Go for it.
Okay, CNN, for example, is being shown.
I'm not CNN.
I didn't say you were.
Well, then you said you were going to address my points. Address my points. Don't drop this fake media blitz like we're supposed to be scared because you don't like the news. It's based on what?
Fake garbage.
Okay, that's not a sentence. That's not a defense. That's not reality.
What I'm saying
based on garbage is a sentence with no meaning.
Okay, a lot of things that are said about Trump is based on falsehoods.
Like what? Give a single example. Give a single example.
All right, Trump's a racist.
Okay.
Is Trump a racist?
I think he has a lot of racist tendencies. Absolutely. I think one of the things, like, he didn't want black accountants. One of the first things that happened to him when he was investigated, he and his father by the Justice Department were fined because they wouldn't rent to black people. He didn't want black accountants working in his company. He wanted, quote, small hats working there, meaning Jews, meaning he thinks that Jews are only good for their usefulness in terms of money. Yeah.
All right, then what happened when Trump bought Mar-a-Lago? What used to happen before that time before he bought it?
Well, I don't know if they used to hire illegals and pay them under the table, but they certainly did when he bought it.
Illegals. You mentioned blacks and Jews and racism. Okay, blacks and Jews were not allowed on those areas because back then West Palm Beach had a policy prohibiting blacks and Jews from being
the policy changed not because of him. That changed because of history. He wasn't on the bus at Selma. Don't give me that business. America's not racist because Donald Trump now hires black people or allows them to be guests. He has to legally. He has to. He has to.
Hello, listen, my friend. Back in 1980, whenever he bought the property, at the time, currently in southern Florida, in the Palm Beach area, blacks and Jews were not allowed at Mar-a-Lago.
What do you mean they weren't allowed at Mar-a-Lago? Who didn't allow them?
They weren't allowed on that facility.
Who was not allowing people in 1980? Blacks and Jews were not allowed on the property at Mar-a-Lago. But when Donald Trump bought it, he made it so that blacks and Jews could pay him to come there. So that is evidence.
But still, and you look at people like Herschel Walker and all the other guys that he worked with over the years, Don King. None of them ever said he was a racist, and nobody ever said he was racist until Trump took on the swamp.
The first lawsuit against him from the Justice Department because he and his dad wouldn't rent to black people. They specifically did this. Yes, there were tons of examples of this. So all right, try another one because that one's not working. It's not true. You're not finding a root there.
What about why did Trump get the Perry Ellis Awards? Why were there examples and tapes where Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson were giving Trump praise? There's videos of it for all the work that he created for black people on those structures that he built in New York City.
Al Capone got awards for having orphanages.
Al Sharpton, not Al Capone.
I know. You're not getting my point.
Trump praised for the work
Trump stole money from a leukemia foundation, money that was supposed to go from his charity to a leukemia foundation, and blew it off. He came to a cancer benefit he didn't give to and sat center stage, took a seat from somebody else who was there, who was a victim of the cancer. Are you kidding me? Like this guy, I know you think the sun shines out of his backside, and I know you think he's the greatest Republican who's ever lived, and I know you think he's an innocent that somehow has been vilified accidentally. This poor man who gave up his rich life being indebted to Russia to the tune of $1.2 billion and being a phony billionaire for decades, a game show host. Yeah, you lost. Okay, thanks for calling. That was a good way to roll it out there. I think he was going to hang in there, but I have no problem with people coming in and going after any. I mean, am I wrong, chat room? Anybody? Were there not dozens of points I made today about Donald Trump's linkages and protection of Vladimir Putin and his financial ties to them, the Rudy Giuliani's shadow State Department operations, all those elements, all those, you could have gone after any of those, except you can't because they are too sound an argument. There is no, that's hilarious. So anyways, if you guys, and I don't mind talking to trolls, I don't mind talking to, ever Trumpers. I really don't, you guys. And I'm not one of these people who automatically vilifies all Republicans or can't talk to a conservative and understand that they believe in their ideology. I'm not one of those guys. But I damn sure I'm going to push back. And I'm not going to wilt when you yell fake news and then drench me in garbage about how because Palm Beach legally, like the rest of the country, couldn't deny black people and Jews the right to go to a golf course, that suddenly that makes Donald Trump a saint because he allowed them on his side. Well, I mean, honestly, that's it? Next, you're going to tell me it's because he put Ben Carson in charge of HUD. Good Lord. Thank you guys for listening. We're here every week. Of course, listen to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, every Saturday on WCPT Radio, or the podcast. Go to sexyliberal.com for that link or whatever. Love to have your guys give us a review and all that kind of fun stuff. And of course, go to the YouTube channel, infotainmentwars.com. Like and subscribe to that. Become a patron. Help us out. Patreon.com/HalSparks. That's what makes the show possible. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you to all of our patrons. And it was great seeing a bunch of you at the shows. We will see you next week. Thanks so much, Devin.
Not problem, Hal. Sorry for leaving my mic up while me and Paul were talking during that troll guy.
Oh, no worries. That was hilarious. I mean, I like, hey, I think this guy's a troll too. And I think you're right. I mean, I don't necessarily think he was a full-on troll. I think he was just trying to, an odd attempt at balance, maybe, or it was just
the right way. He, seemed fine.
I mean, a good troll actually does that. They just plant seeds of doubt and then leave, so that people go, I think I heard a thing about a thing about a thing. Didn't somebody mention a thing about a thing? That's what that's for. But anyways, you're awesome. Thanks so much. I'm going to hang up. Cheers. We'll see you next week. Okay.
Next week, man.
Okay, bye. There we go. And I'll shut that off. And then I think I still have sound. And then we'll go there. Hi. You want to come say hi to everybody? I'm sure they'd love to say hi to you. Come here. Come over here.
Hello.
Come over here. You got to come over this side.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi. How are you? This is Camden saying hi to everybody. Let's see what they say. It takes a couple of seconds because there's a bit of a lag time from when the show goes and the video goes up, out to through the interwebs, up, bounces up to the satellite, back down, distributes out, and then people go, oh, I saw that. And then I saw that comes back, bounces the same way. And then, there you go. So Johnny's waving. Oh, thanks. Let's see. Hold on. There was a bunch of folks in there. Yeah, the podcast with Jackie is going to be terrific. I'm glad the patrons got to see that. I'm posting the video from Jackie and my podcast just on there, so you know. So if you're a patron, you'll get to see it. Everywhere else can just subscribe and hear it. Hello. Hello. Huh? Oh, you're not really. I just have a cool kid. I have the greatest kid ever.
Well, actually, you're a cool dad. I'm a cool kid.
Yeah, right. Both of us. Good for us. Look at that. That was a solid one. That was nice. Dun, 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 dun.
Says what a cutie.
Yeah, I know. He's talking about you. Liberty says, great to see you, Camden.
Hi, Camden.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people. Hello, Cam. Bob and Gigi's.
See you, Camden.
You're smart like your daddy.
I am smart.
Donk. We are. You're very smart. Yeah.
Yes.
Some would even say clever. Some would even say clever. Yes, very clever. Young boy. Hello. Hello. It's so funny for some. Here, wait. You have to scoot over this way because I can't see. Hold on. Tap this a little bit that way. There you go. All right. So I've got a little bit of a post show, and I'm going to hang out with them, and then we're going to the fair, okay? Okay. Yeah, sound good? Because we need to get some pumpkins for Halloween. And, yeah. Pumpkins. Pumpkins.
Pumpkins.
Pumpkins.
Pumpkins.
Pumpkins. You show everybody you can snap now? You can finally snap. Yeah. It's a milestone. Sometimes kids.
My hands are going to sweat.
Right. Yeah. It's hard when your skin's so soft when you're little. I got callous man hands.
Oh, God, it's doing it again.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. Okay.
I
love you. I'll see you in a minute. Okay?
Okay.
All right, have fun. He's going to be, I think he's doing Spider-Man, although he keeps changing the idea. We've got a little time before Halloween. So, anyways, let me pull up the restream, and we'll bounce off down just to the, thanks everybody on Periscope, on Twitter. Hop over if you want to join us for the post show on YouTube. Infotainmentwars.com is the way to do it. See you later. Facebook, same thing to you guys. It was great hanging out with you. Thank you very much. Go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe there, infotainmentwars.com. We'll take you to the link there, and then you can go live and just, and that way you can join in that chat and help us reach 10,000. That's the whole point. And then, of course, Twitch, you guys are wonderful. Thanks for the raids and the hosting and the bits and the bots and the stuff, I think. Twitch is awesome. See you later. I'm going to be gaming tomorrow. Yay. And YouTube, I think we're alone now. Doesn't say hi. Yeah, can't stop lying. You're absolutely right. Where I want to post that. I scrolled way down. There it is. Yeah, if you're not registered to vote, go to vote.org. Make sure. And plan on taking somebody with you to the polls when you go. Always. Carpool. Take a crowd. Yeah. You realize how hard it is for me not to respond to everybody who says hi, Hal? I think you should, Hal Vickery. That's totally great. Thanks, BK. I was so glad to see you guys. Yeah. Yeah, it was a really good hang. So, brother-in-laws, it's going to be rough for a bit. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Oh, don't worry about it. I was just kidding, Natalie. Relax. I'm just playing around. Ginger, what's happening? Aw, thanks, Ginger. Wait, there's my YouTube page. Where'd it go? There you go. I like that. That's a cool sticker. I wish I could pop the stickers up on screen. I wish there was a way to do that. Daggin' nabbit. I'm gonna talk to YouTube about that because you should be able to do that from within. I think actually. So we need caravans for Democratic voters going to the polls. Yeah, I agree. However, the more I get nervous about it. It's like just everybody get there. I'm just saying, like it makes me nervous. Somebody could run somebody off the road and eliminate 4 voters instead of 1. My mom had her knee replaced, so I understand about health. Yeah. You guys are awesome. It's been really, an insane week. Yeah, they should let you embed the super chats. Yeah, I know. It doesn't. It gives me a. Let's see, where is it? Yeah. Where is it? Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't show up in that part of it. So I'll figure out how to do that. Yeah. I think we have stream stats. Where are they? Okay. I'll figure out also how to do the Streamlabs stuff in there as well. But we'll get there. I'm getting each piece. But I've been pretty good. I'm surprised my 6-day stay was only 31,000 so far. Oh, my gosh. At the hospital? I hope you're better, at least. My gosh. Dagnabbit, yeah. Tarnations. So, by the way, guys, so totally random, but so these Vegas gigs I wasn't supposed to do, and I was just this week it was just going to be time with Cam, and we're hanging out, and I've got shows coming up, and get a call Friday to do that they need somebody to do Kimmel's Club this week, and it's in Vegas, and I'm like, oh, I've been trying to find a regular club to perform at in Vegas and all this stuff and all the business behind the scenes, yada, yada. But anyways, point being, it was great that it's a nice club. I like the space. It's got a nice physical, the size of the stage is good. The audience is a good presentation. You can see everybody. It's really good. But yesterday, Summer got to come see the show, which is lovely. And then right before it, the manager of the club comes up and goes, "Hey, some friends of Jimmy's are coming. They're one of them's the head of the COO of Netflix, and a couple of the VPs, I think, from there, and then their friends. It's like 6 dudes come in who all run Netflix, all came and saw my show last night, the 10 o'clock show. So no pressure or anything. At a club that I wasn't even supposed to be playing at the last minute in front of an audience that wasn't expecting me. So that's pretty. I was ice skating uphill, and it was still an awesome show. It went so well, and it just kind of like, it was one of those moments as a performer where you're like, oh damn. These days with Netflix, it's like, the head of Warner Brothers showing up at your, right? Like, you're here watching an actual show? I almost have new respect for Netflix's commitment to stand-up. I mean, I like the fact that they've become the only game in town to some degree. I wish HBO and Showtime would try to reclaim their space as far as the, purveyors of stand-up, because the quality's out there and there's a lot of variety of humans out there and different tastes, different levels of, language and all that other stuff. But the fact that like these guys actually came and saw a live stand-up show is, I was impressed, and it was kind of exciting that they came and saw mine, because I'm awesome, and I never get to audition for those dudes, honestly. Like, for whatever, I mean, it has a lot to do with Queer as Folk and in some ways Lab Rats, but like most of them just don't even know that I'm a stand-up. And when they do, they think it's a hobby instead of something that, I'll put my stand-up up against anybody in the world anytime. Oh, and Nerd Halen will more than likely be playing the Brooklyn Bowl across the street. I guess the promenade. It's not really a street. Across the promenade from the Jimmy Kimmel Club down here in Las Vegas. So thank you, Johnny. I agree. I try. That's the whole goal. I appreciate it. But it was just such an odd, like, oh, look at that. Yeah, Brad, that would be the goal. That would be super great. Hi, Chud. Do you want to jump up? Are you coming up? Don't bump your head. Oh, there she is. Oh, there she is. Hold on. Chud wants to come say hi, everybody. Hold on. Hi, kiddo. There she is. Yeah. Yeah. Want to say something? Yeah. Want to say something? Sweet thing. You sweet little kitty. Yeah. 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 That's right. Yeah. How you doing, old lady? How you doing, old girl? She's a good cat. Chud's a good kitty. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. There she is. That's the sweet spot. You good? Chud was feral at one point. Understand this? Like, skittish. Wouldn't come anywhere near me. Yeah, she's a good sweetie. There you go. Sit for a second. I'll scratch you. You can get just cover my pants in fur. I get up, and it looks like I'm wearing fur pants. It's hilarious. Yes, Nerd Halen here in Vegas. It's a must do. It has to happen. But my voice has to have time to heal, because holy smokes, I'm worn out right now. And I got 3 more shows this weekend. I got 2 tonight, 1 tomorrow. And I don't know. That's right. Transatlantic. Cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller love. That's right. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, she's sweet. And we switched her food, and her coat's getting a lot better. And she was never bad, but she's a sweet thing. She when I scratch her jaw, she goes, oh, it's so good. It just blows out the side of her lip. It's so cute. I was going to be in Vegas till on the 9th. No, let's see. The 9th I'll be back here, yeah. November 17th Flapper Show is still on. The October one, this Sunday show was moved to November 1st. But insofar as I know, the 17th is fine. They said they were talking about moving it, but I was like, I'm fine with keeping it. They may want to move it just because it's too close to the date on the 1st, and we had to move this one. So we'll see. I hope not, but there you go. Our son uses a lint roller to clean the dog hair off his bedspread. Yeah, we have a giant one for that. It's hilarious. Yeah, Chud's beyond rescue. She was never, rescues a lot of times you get at the, at the pound or at the shelters, but Chud was just under the house. She just lived under the house. There you go, sweetheart. Yeah. So my YouTube app on my phone, I always get these cat rescue videos, and it's embarrassing if it happens in public because something gets in my, oh yeah, because you cry about, oh. Hal, next time on Steph Show? I don't know for sure, Brad. Probably next week, though. Probably next Thursday, more than likely. So, walking AIDS walk tomorrow in LA for Project. Oh, that's great. Thank you, SoCal Susie Q. Yes, what's your regular day on Steph Show? I don't have one. Oh my God, the fur, Chud. The amount of fur, it's insane. Oh, and she's digging into my leg. Oh, this is good. Look, good Lord. Here you go. This is too much. Here you go. I'm lifting you. Come here. Come here, you. Come here. There you go. Yeah. Can you hear her purring? Can you guys hear her purring? Yeah. Here you go, happy girl. Hop down. Hop down. All right. There you go. Oh, here you go. Oh, my gosh. The cat hair is just overwhelming. Oh, my God. Yeah. Can you hear the purring? Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Look at this. Look at that. Look how much hair. That's ridiculous. Like, it's just never ending. Just love you, Chud. You're wonderful. She's just sitting there like, next round, please. So, yeah, Ginger, happy 50th, the early 50th. Rescued from a life of deprivation. How good. Oh, thanks, Amos. Yeah, she's good. She's a proud win. I'll show you guys the other. Let's see. How does warm tea with honey work? Any remedies you can use for your experience other than not speaking? Really, it's just not having time not to talk, quite frankly. But tea and honey can help. I'll do that after this show, and then I'll do it right before the show tonight, and then after tonight's show, and then before tomorrow and after. And then Monday, I will not speak out loud all day for 24 hours. That's usually what does it. That's usually what helps. Yeah. So. Can't Stop Lying, thanks for reminding everybody, by the way, that you can, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can sub on Twitch for free. I did not know that, and that's really cool. So, yeah, so there you go. And if you look in the links below, I think it's in here. If you look in the links below, there should be all the stuff on the Amazon shop. So down at the bottom, amazon.com/shop/HalSparks. If you buy anything through there, I'm not selling anything there. It just, we get credit for it as an advertiser. If you buy anything on Amazon that way. So there you go. Yeah. That's right. So it's a really, it's a very cool thing. Like I'm new to that whole thing too, Can't Stop Lying. Thanks for filling me in on how that worked. Lots of birthdays this month. Happy birthday, Project 50 looks great. Thanks, Johnny Blackout. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm like, I definitely look a little tired today because this last night was, it's a lot. Here I say it all. That's what Bliss on Four Eyes looks like. That's great. Yeah, it's just vocal rest. That's what I need. But I'm not going to have any anytime soon. So just soldiering through, and then, yeah. I Twitch for free all the time. I have a problem. Working out, I take it out of you a little, feel the burn. Excuse me. I teach and use throat coat. Yeah. Throat coat doesn't work for me. I try it every so often. I'm like, maybe it'll work this time. It never does. It's always awful. I use Smile on Amazon to connect to Wild Horse. I'm going to write it out in here so you guys can see it. Wild Horse Ranch Rescue. if you guys are ever doing the that where you're contributing to one of those kind of things, then I recommend going to Wild Horse Ranch Rescue. Hold on, adding them to your Smile account on Amazon if you can. They rescue wild horses and police horses and military horses that are going to be put down, and they're fantastic. So that's how you spell it. Wild Horse Ranch Rescue. That's who they are. They in the Smile thing on Amazon, you can add that to it, and anything you buy through that link gives them money. So there you go. So I'm a big fan of theirs. I've been working with them for a very long time. They're a wonderful organization. If you're ever so inclined to donate to a animal charity, put this one on your list. Put it in your rotation. Once a year, if you're going to give something to one and something else the next year, give them a look, see, because they're great and we love them. So there you go. How did you see when Elizabeth Warren, when she posted on Facebook that Zuckerberg is voting for Trump because he refused to act? To fact check ads on Facebook. She's so quick. Agreed, except for the fact that, and I do think that is awesome, but basically YouTube's response was, yeah, we're not going to check it. We don't care. We know hers is a lie too. And I also think her language in it, if you read the ad, it called it off. It said, of course that's not true. In the part of the text that's available to be seen as opposed to the below click point. I think if they'd have done it a little better, they could have put it so that it was like, Zuckerberg announces that he is pro-Trump and supports all of his policies, including Syria and blah, 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 and leave a big blank space. And then put, of course, this is ridiculous, but Facebook won't stop ads that say things that aren't true, blah, blah, blah. Put that below the fold, essentially, would be the way to do it. So that's great, Angie. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, thank you, Natalie. They're great people. Just tell them I sent you. They're the people who run them. I've whenever I'm down in Phoenix, I do shows and invite them down. Warren's terrific. She's great. I like nearly everybody. And a man or one of the others might stimulate recovery. Well, yeah. That is helping. I ran out and I started getting some again, like Grycicle. That was actually helpful. So, but now I just need like rest. It's really just the only thing to it. At a certain point, I'm just running on fumes, and I've got 2 shows tonight and another show tomorrow. And I'll be on. Today's post show will be another 10 minutes if that's cool with everybody. And then I'm gonna go take Cam to a fair nearby, and we're gonna get a pumpkin or 2 for Halloween. Do a little carving. Tired of all the Trump ads on YouTube when I click on progressive content. Not gonna pay to keep off the Morgan Fairchild nearly daily tweets about shelter cats and puppers. Messes me up every time. Yeah, Pamela, that's how they got you. This whole sign in using Facebook. I've avoided that entirely forever. I don't do that. I'm less, when they started doing Google Plus, and obviously when Google bought YouTube, it integrated stuff in a way that I wasn't particularly comfortable with, but way less so than Facebook. And I never use Facebook to sign into stuff. If they offer it as an option, I'm like, no, that's like the biggest trap in the world. Forget it. I'm not, yeah. So I try to. Daughter was sneezing and sniffing on the phone the other day. She said her cat was sleeping on her face. So as a non-cat owner would wonder, I said, why? Right. It's okay. You need to go buy a new couch. All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad everybody's got an afternoon plan. Heading out shortly to counter protests to a March for Life rally. My sign says, if it's not your body, it's not your what? Decision? Oh, yeah. If it's not your body, it's not your decision, right? We're seeing at Astronaut. Oh, wow. Carl, you're finally seeing. I don't know why I turned into. Oh, wow. Why? What's his name? Wilson. Yeah. I'm curious. Now I'm curious to see what you think, because we all went and saw it. Summer and Ethan and I saw it, and it's a. I'm not going to say anything else. I want your opinion on it, because I respect your opinion about space movies, especially. So Zuckerberg took lots of Russian money for. Well, yeah, he did, and then he took it in rubles, for crying out loud. You took payment for political ads in foreign currency. What are you talking about? Thank you, Can't Stop Lying, for posting that up there. I roll back and gotta find it. Where'd it go? Where was it? I lost it. I can't find it. It's gone. Yeah. We must come up with some laws to outlaw lies in political ads and some enforcement mechanisms. Well, that's where the whole, I'm so-and-so and I approve this message was supposed to fix. Because if it's a lie, you've stood by the lie, and if you get busted, people go, you stood by this lie. You said you approved this message. You approved this lie. That's what, that's what they're, they were hoping it would remedy. And, of course, clearly not. I mean, honestly. Thanks, Amy. Not Siri. Hey, Siri, what's the weather like today?
One moment. It's currently clear and 71 degrees in Las Vegas.
All right.
Starting in the afternoon. Today's high will be 80 degrees and the low will be 60.
There you go. Try to do that. I've got the Australian Siri. There you go. Wow, where'd it go? There you go. wildhorserescuecenter.org/Amazon Smile. That's right. There you go. Thanks, Can't Stop Lying. You too, Ginger. Have a great week. And I'm going to sign off early just because I don't want to I've got 2 shows tonight. I don't want to ruin my voice. So I appreciate you guys hanging out, and thank you for the super chats today. Thanks to everybody who kicked in. Thank you, Ginger and Stephen Lee and Anna Daisy Bird and Brad. Thank you, and thanks Stephen Lee again. You're doing it twice, which I appreciate. And Bob Peterson, Benny Loco, who I know had to take off, but thank you. And Kathy and Kelly O'Rourke and Natalie, of course, and Hal Vickery. Thank you guys so much. And Amos, appreciate it. I'm your #1 fan too, man. And Billy, thanks so much. And then to all our patrons who've joined in the last little bit, we gained 3 and lost 1, so it's kind of a rotating piece of that, but I appreciate everybody who hopped on there. I am now posting on Patreon just for you guys the video of the podcast that I'm doing with Jackie Scheckner. It'll be the only place you can find it. I might post them later after you guys have watched it. I'll put it up on YouTube, but you guys will get the first look at it. And because everybody else will just hear the actual thing. But I appreciate you guys so much. It's ridiculous. We have, where's this? Where's the list? There it is. Aaron and Abigail and Adam Lodestone, thank you so much. And Alejandro, and Allison and Amos and Femi, the 2 of you together, thank you so much. And Amy and Andy DeVore and Anna, I'm doing this in alphabetical order, can you tell? And Beverly Brown and Billy Hutchins and Bob. I won't do everybody because it's a growing list of 100 we'll do in parts. But Bob Peterson, thank you again so much for both that and your super chats today. And Bruce and DeSantis and Brian and CJ Anthony. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to be posting the patrons sort of like credits at the end of the show, starting next week. So at the end of the show, there'll be like a post roll of supporters and all that kind of stuff. If for some reason you don't want me to put your name in there, you don't want to, just let me know. Just message me on there. But otherwise, everybody will be listed with their donation level and all that kind of stuff with a big thank you, and I appreciate that. And then all the the Twitter and Instagram shout outs are going out this week. So thank you guys a ton. I adore you. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to go rest my voice as best I can. If you're just watching for the first time, you're watching this later, or you just, you're not in the stream currently or whatever, and you're not a patron, please look into joining us at any of the levels. There's plenty of upside to it. You get a free comedy show every month. That's, worth the price of admission. It's a cup of coffee or two a month to help us out. And it's really been amazingly helpful in bettering the show. And it's all you guys. So I thank you so much. And thanks also to the Super Chat funds. And thanks to everybody else who's just watching, participating, caring enough to pay attention to this crazy political world where we find ourselves in right now. So you guys are awesome. And thank you, Johnny Blackout. There you go. Oh, Ginger, thanks a lot. The stickers are hilarious. They're awesome. They're good. Do they show up in the? Yeah, they show up in the. There they are. They show up in the chat that way. It's awesome. What does this say? Okay, that's fantastic. So thank you guys so much, and thanks Can't Stop Lying and Natalie and Akf and you guys for coming down. It's so great to see you guys at the show, and thank you. Same for Kathy B and everybody who came to the San Francisco shows. Looking forward to seeing more of you guys at Patreon hangouts before those shows. So thanks a ton. We will see you next week. I'm going to sign off. Take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. Hang in there. We're going to make it. It's going to be all right. I promise. See you next time. Bye-bye. Cheers. See you, everybody. Bye.